Hello, I'm Arik Korman, Communications Director at League of Education Voters and the parent of a 6th grade son in the public school system who needs special education services. In case you're not familiar with us, League of Education Voters is a statewide nonprofit working with families, educators, and leaders to build a brighter future for every Washington student. Our website is educationvoters.org. We believe that education is a tool for justice. One of the systems that perpetrate racial injustice experienced by communities of color is our schools. We believe every child deserves an excellent public education that provides an equal opportunity for success. In order to achieve this, we must pursue radical change in our school systems for equity, justice, and liberation. We must build schools and systems that honor the humanity in every student. Welcome to our free online webinar series, Lunchtime LEVinars. We started this series 7 years ago to share information and build knowledge on important and timely issues. Spanish interpretation and closed captioning is available. Just click on the interpretation or closed caption button at the bottom of your screen. Today's LEVinar is about Our Rising Voices, supporting emergent multilingual students. In collaboration with the Roadmap Project, League of Education Voters partner OneAmerica has published a new report, Our Rising Voices, a call to action to support emergent multilingual students. For too long, our education systems have treated English language learners as a problem to be managed and minimized. This report instead highlights the systemic barriers that emergent multilingual students face and the actions we can all take to support them. It pinpoints 5 specific yet sweeping recommendations for building systemic changes and uplifting community voices. You can read the Our Rising Voices report on the OneAmerica website, weareoneamerica.org. Our presenter today is Nimco Bulale, Education Program Manager at OneAmerica. Nimco will share takeaways from the report and answer your questions. A couple of housekeeping items before we begin. You'll notice a Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. This is a space for you to submit questions to us. As always, feel free to send any feedback about the webinar quality to us on the chat function or at info@educationvoters.org. And speaking of the chat function, you're welcome to use it to check in and to comment on anything you hear. Nimco Bulale joined OneAmerica with extensive experience working with community-based organizations and coalitions that aim to strengthen the voices of disenfranchised communities to promote a more just society. Nimco was born in Mogadishu, Somalia, and raised in Seattle. Nimco is fluent in Somali and proficient in Spanish. She received her master's in public administration with a focus on nonprofit leadership and local government administration from Seattle University. Previously, Nimco attended the University of Washington, where she earned her Bachelor's of Arts in International Studies with a focus on foreign policy, diplomacy, peace, and security. Nimco volunteers with various community-based organizations and coalitions that work to strengthen the voices of disenfranchised communities to promote a more just society. She's a steering committee member of the Southeast Seattle Education Coalition and is a 2017 Brainerd Fellow with Social Venture Partners. She also serves on the Our Best Advisory Council, the City of Seattle's first ever initiative specifically aimed at expanding community, expanding opportunity, and improving life outcomes for young Black men and boys in education, health, employment, safety, and positive connections to caring adults. Nimco is passionate about closing the achievement gap in education, empowering refugee and immigrant communities, and breaking down the systemic barriers to opportunity. Moreover, Nimco is committed to working to address the root causes of injustice, building power, and creating equitable change in her community. During her free time, Nimco enjoys traveling, discovering new coffee shops, spending time with her family, as well as enjoying Seattle's impressive selection of restaurants with her friends. Welcome, Nimco Bulale. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Let me just share my screen. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. All right, can you all see my screen?
Looks great.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for giving such a great overview of the report. Our Rising Voices includes data, research, and stories that showcase the inadequacies of our current education system in supporting immigrant families, especially Black and Brown emergent multilingual students. As Arik mentioned, the report also highlights attainable and equitable solutions to which all of us, including you, can contribute. With reimagination and resourcing, transformative changes are in reach. Additionally, we must lead with anti-racism and create an education system that works for students and families who have been too long marginalized and denied educational justice. Supporting all students requires we first support those who the system was never designed to support. This means our advocacy and work must focus more strongly on Black liberation and Indigenous sovereignty. When we do that, we will build a system for everyone, rooted in equity and care for generations to come. So emergent students, emergent multilingual students and their families are central to the Roadmap Project region. Nearly half of students in the region, that's 42%, are emergent multilingual at some point during their education. In the 2018 and 2019 school year, about 1/4 of students were currently emergent multilinguals. Nearly all emergent multilingual students, 89%, are students of color. Transforming racist policies and practices in education and creating culturally welcoming, equitable learning environments in the Roadmap Project's region, schools, and communities is foundational to the success of emergent multilingual students. The Our Rising Voices report, again, includes the report really dives into 3 priority work areas of the Roadmap Project English Language Learner work group. So we focus on positive identity and primary language development, post-secondary success, as well as diversifying the educator workforce, the teacher workforce. These are the levers of change that communities have been advocating for years. The goal of the report is to share intentional strategies that can drive sweeping yet specific systemic shifts, rather than catalog all the comprehensive data about emergent multilingual students in our region. So we really focused on engaging with community members as we were developing and engaging with the report. We had several different ways that we were able to connect with our work group. We formed a committee around the report itself and met many times. Following that, we had data dialogues that were several iterations of the data. We worked very closely with the Community Center for Education Results' team over there, their data team, were the ones that were leading these data dialogues. And in between all of those, had several review sessions with members of the community, with the youth, and the work group itself. And again, just to add that once the COVID pandemic hit, we were able to move all of our meetings online. I just wanted to also share the different iterations of the recommendation process and how important, again, it was to include community in all of the work that we are doing. And so we had initial recommendations drafted in July, and really were able to work in July, August, and September to really share the recommendations with educators, administrators, advocates, the youth councils in small group meetings. So folks were able to really give feedback on that. And again, there was conversations are happening in the form of a Google Doc that many folks were able to contribute to make changes and make suggestions. So the report really laid bare the inequities by the corona pandemic and the uprising for racial justice. It was a call to action and compassion. Many students and their families from early learning through K-12 and post-secondary are experiencing additional challenges due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Rising unemployment, hazardous work, increased economic insecurity, death or illnesses of family members, loss of routine, separation from community, racist inequities that were embedded in education, and inadequate access to online learning are hurting our students. Racist violence has brought pain and trauma to the forefront in the lives of many, especially Black students and their families. In some communities, local and federal officials have elevated a frightening police or military presence in response to the protests for justice. The trauma and anxiety that all of these factors bring are different and more intense for Black, Indigenous, and many people of color and refugee groups. This is due to history, disparate health policy impacts, racial discrimination based in xenophobic myths about COVID-19, anti-immigrant rhetoric, and deportation and family separation practices. Many emergent multilingual students and their families are acutely impacted. Our educational systems and everyone within those systems need to recognize the impact and act with urgency to create racial equity and bring support to students and families. These recommendations lay out actions for people at every level of decision-making in education: state policymakers, teacher preparation programs, superintendents, school board directors, principals, educators, and staff. They encompass both policy and educational practices. The recommendations are also a tool for students, families, and advocates to work together for positive change. If you are in a position of decision-making in education, use these recommendations to identify your next steps. If you are an advocate, use these recommendations to form an action plan to bring these solutions to educators and policymakers in your community. Again, your actions can strengthen our education system and move our region toward a new reality, one where every emergent multilingual student has full access to an equitable education that cultivates their strengths and helps them reach their dreams. A few takeaways from our time together is that we cannot marginalize emergent multilingualism. Nearly half of students in the region, that's 42%, are emergent multilingual at some point during their education, and nearly all emergent multilingual students, that's 89%, are students of color. This means that they are central to our communities and that supporting them means leading with anti-racist strategies. Second, there needs to be multiple strategies for developing multilingualism as essential, and developing these strategies are essential. Our schools and communities need dual language classrooms, heritage language courses, world language credit programs, and other policies and practices in order to build a culture that values multilingualism. Rather than a singular programmatic approach, we need systems-wide shift. Emergent multilingual students are in every classroom. There are many amazing individuals and organizations doing work to support emergent multilinguals, but it is not nearly enough. Let's move beyond bright spots and work to illuminate our entire community. And last but not least, students are stuck because the system is stuck. The challenges our students face are intersectional and systemic, and not about their own abilities. Being an emergent multilingual is not an obstacle to student success. In fact, being multilingual is a powerful asset. If you're interested in staying connected with us, we have monthly English language learner work group meetings. We meet on the first Wednesday of every month from 12 to 12:30. If you'd like more responsibility and really want to lead with the strategic direction of the ELA work group, you may also serve on our steering committee for the work group. And that includes really meeting monthly for an hour to discuss the strategic direction of our work group, as well as supporting and building an agenda for our meetings and facilitating parts of the meetings as needed. You can always sign up for a newsletter and updates from the Speak Your Language campaign and submit a blog post about the benefits of multilingualism. I'm going to leave my email address here for you all to jot down in case you're interested in staying connected and you're just looking for ways to stay connected to our education work and the next steps for our report. I want to thank you all so much for this time and welcome any questions. Toss it right back to you, Eric.
Okay, thanks so much, Nimco. I really appreciate it. We have about 10 minutes for questions. And for you who are listening, please type your questions in the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. No question is too basic. And Nimco, I want to start with a question about data. This first question is the data only from Seattle or is the data from beyond Seattle in this report?
Great question. The data is actually beyond. It covers the roadmap region school districts, which are Southeast Seattle. So there is data from Seattle, but it goes all the way down to Auburn. And so there are a total of, I believe, 7 roadmap region school districts that include Auburn, Federal Way, Tukwila, Renton, Highline, Seattle, and I'm probably missing the last one, but all the way down to the I-5 corridor.
Great, great. And I have a request here to, if you could return to the slide of recommendations.
Of course.
Yeah, that would be great. And the question that I have after that is, has this report been distributed to all school districts in Washington?
We are in the process now of making sure that we had a report launch actually in December, where we were able to share the report and the findings and really do a virtual launch around the report and what was coming out of that. And so that was an opportunity to really make sure that folks in our region and across our state have access to the report. We're also right now engaging in a whole process of being able to do outreach with community-based partners, with school districts and other education partners to share similar to this around what some of the takeaways from the report were, the recommendations coming out of the report as well. And so if you have any ideas with as far as a specific school district that you would like to make sure gets this presentation, I can make sure that happens. But yes, we're definitely making sure that this gets in the hands of everybody across our state.
Great, great. So this question is about barriers. What are the main barriers to supporting and developing multilingualism?
There's a lot that I can get into, but I think in the interest of time, I will focus on really that shift in that mindset. It's really important that we think about multilingual students and emergent multilingual students as assets in our communities and in our school systems, and really thinking about what tools and strategies can we put in place and employ that really affirm that and lift that up. So whether it is through the increasing dual language classrooms, increasing the number of heritage language classrooms and indigenous language programs and classrooms that are available, but also thinking about how do we honor and really put into action that speaking another language is in fact an asset and a benefit. And so whether it's through the World Language Credit Program or the State Seal of Biliteracy, these are all ways that we really affirm and lift up the benefits of bilingualism, which is really, I think, a key tenet to the shift that we need in how our education systems look at multilingual students.
That is great. And just to unpack that a little bit, what are some of the levers to build upon the recommendations from the report, both at the state and also at the district level?
Yes, and so I think part of what we are really thinking about as far as recommendations and some of those levers is we made sure that our state departments were partners in this report and that there was a commitment from them as far as that. And so if you look at recommendation 4, we are working with OSPI, for example, to really expand access to dual language learning and multilingual educational environments for multilingual students. Really thinking about how do we scale up recruitment, hiring, and retentions of educators, and working closely with the Professional Educator Standards Board, our state agency around that, to really think about recruitment strategies that are rooted in equity and that are racially diverse and culturally responsive for our multilingual students. And then really working with school districts who are, again, partners and key partners and members of the ELL work group to really think about how do we disseminate this information? How do we make sure that this is a tool that is being used across school districts, which is really what is one of the key reasons we convene our work group, is to make sure that we are de-siloing our work and that we're working together and in tandem collectively to improve outcomes for our emergent multilingual students.
Great. Well, this is a question about access. What are the recommendations for access to dual language learning environments, given the high number and different languages spoken in many districts?
Can you repeat the question one more time?
Sure, sure. What are the recommendations for access to dual language learning environments, given the high number and different languages spoken in many districts?
Great. That's a really good question. Yes, our region specifically is super diverse in terms of languages spoken. I think part of what we do and our work around expanding access to dual language learning is really expanding offerings as well across our state, and really thinking about what are the top languages being spoken by our emergent multilingual students, and how can we continue to build that infrastructure to start a dual language program, for example. And so one of the key provisions around expanding dual language learning is that there's also Lighthouse school districts that have had successful dual language programs for quite some time now that can help mentor school districts that are seeking to start a dual language program or heritage language program or indigenous language to get that support that they need to really be able to start that. And so that's in terms of access, that's how we're also expanding that. We're also expanding dual language offerings to not only K through 12, but we are also looking at ways in which we can bring early learning into this space as well. And that knowing that investing in dual language programs early on in early learning closes opportunity gaps faster for our youngest learners. And really thinking about how do we expand access to dual language offerings in early learning spaces, as well as the data and the research backs up that is when our youngest scholars are able to learn languages the fastest and the easiest if they're hearing that.
Mhm. Yeah.
There are all ways that we are diversifying that and really thinking about how do we build that infrastructure around different languages that are spoken in our region. For example, we have Somali heritage language programs in the school day in Highline Public Schools, for example. And and I think that's a lever and a way that specific school district is building that infrastructure for a future Somali dual language program.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, just
Thank
a
you.
lot of amazing work that's happening across our region. And so part of what we wanted to do with with our report is share that, lift that up, all the amazing work that's doing, as well as providing potential actionable solutions as well.
Mm. Yeah, I have a question here about your own proficiency in Spanish. So the question is, did your proficiency in Spanish happen through a dual language program? And if so, where?
Really good question. Unfortunately, I did not learn Spanish through a dual language program. I wish I did. When I was in school, we didn't have any dual language offerings, but I did start in high school, where I learned Spanish and continued that because I loved it and was just passionate about language learning, and was able to have the opportunity and the privilege to study abroad and learn Spanish there during my college years, and have just really been able to continue to learn that.
That's great.
Thank you.
So here's a question. What are the Lighthouse districts?
What is a Lighthouse school district, or which ones are?
It says, what are they? But I think if you could cover both, like what is a Lighthouse district and where are they? I think that would be great.
Yeah, from what I know from Lighthouse School District, I don't know where they all are. I do know that there is at least one here in our region in South King County, in the Roadmap region, but they are school districts that have had a dual language program that's been ongoing, and it's an opportunity for, I would say, mentorship for other school districts that are looking to start one. So who are looking to start a dual language program of their own, and can lean to this Lighthouse School District for best practices, for what's worked, what hasn't, all the elements to really start a successful dual language program.
Yeah, thank you for that. So here's a question about contacting Google. So I don't know if you would know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. The question is, I would like to see Lushootseed as a language in Google Translate, and I apologize if I may have pronounced that wrong, along with other heritage languages. Does anyone know who to contact at Google for this request?
I personally don't know anybody in Google that could help facilitate that request. I do want to just plug in the Speak Your Language campaign, which is statewide campaign around the benefits of bilingualism. And so if you go to speakyourlanguage.org, we have one-pagers in 24 to 25 languages, including, I believe, indigenous languages and other heritage languages that help to support parents and families practice with their children in their home language, and give tips and tools and best practices around the research and different ways that you can engage with your children in your home language.
That's great. Thank you.
So it's not Google Translate, but it's a step.
Yep, it certainly is. All right, we have time for a couple more questions after this one. And this question is about recommendation number 2. How would you recommend implementing authentic family engagement?
I think really thinking about, I mean, that could go several different ways. I think initially the way I think about it is really connecting with community members that are impacted by the work that we're doing. Anybody that is in our region, I feel like it's really important for them to really be engaged and participate in strategies around. I feel like part of our audience, again, it's an actionable step for all of us to think about how do we continue to bring along community members and students that are impacted by this work. And I think that's how I think about authenticity as far as engagement, is making sure that that's getting there and that we are sharing what we've learned back with the community. Communication is key, and communication in a language that community members speak and are comfortable in is also really key. And again, as I mentioned in the presentation, there was really a concerted effort to get feedback from community members in the form of data dialogues and other opportunities to serve on the report committee. We were really intentional in making sure that it wasn't just folks in education spaces that were in the education system, but that we were also looking to make sure that community that was impacted by these injustices and these inequities are also proposing solutions.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, thank you for that. So here's a question to repeat the resource that you just gave about heritage languages. What was the name of that resource again?
It's the Speak Your Language campaign. So
Speak Your Language.
Yes, I will put that in the, I will send that to you. Okay. I wonder if I can just, actually, I can put it in the chat.
Yeah, you can put it in the chat. I can send that out in the follow-up email that I'll be sending in about 24 hours. So Perfect. That link will be there as well.
Thank you.
So the question I have next is about your work groups. Do your work groups recruit and include parents of emergent multilinguals?
Yes, absolutely. We are always recruiting, and we're always looking for more participation from community. As I'd mentioned in, I forget, one of the previous slides, was that in addition to our 3 priority areas, data collection and community engagement is weaved in through all of that. And so this is something that we are really intentional about. We want to make sure that we are providing a space for parents to feel comfortable and safe to share their experiences. And so if there are parents and community members that are connected with emergent multilingual students that are interested in participating in the work group, I would love for you all to connect with me. My email is, again, Nimco. Arik can share that with you all, but if that is something that folks are interested in, I would love to talk about how you all can get connected. But yes, we do have parents, we do have community members in the work group.
Excellent, great. Well, the last question I have for you is about resources for teachers. What resources do you provide for mainstream teachers' understanding of emergent multilingual students? Often they get lost in those classes. The EL department is their safe zone, but regular education classes can be daunting.
So the question is, how are teachers being supported?
Yep, or does OneAmerica have any resources, or does OneAmerica recommend any resources for mainstream teachers to support emergent multilingual students?
And I think the one way that I can think of is really thinking about joining the EL work group. We have educators that are in that space who are able to share what their experience is teaching emergent multilingual students and connecting those, what's happening and the actions and the work that's happening within the school building is being shared out. And so as advocates for us, we want to make sure that we are connecting educators and work group members with folks that are also at state agencies. So really thinking about that dual approach of both grass tops and grassroots, and making sure that we're creating a container where folks can share best practices. And so, as I'd mentioned, one of our other priority areas is teacher diversification and recruitment of bilingual educators and diverse educators and teachers that are also working ELL educators as well. And so we invite them all to participate in that, to participate also in that subcommittee so we can ensure that policies and practices and advocacy is reaching those that they need to, whether they're at state departments or the legislature. So really connecting what we're hearing from the ground and from school buildings and educators with our advocacy priorities.
Great. Well, if teachers do want some specific resources to support emergent multilingual students, would it be okay if they reach out to you to ask for any recommendations?
Definitely. And I just want to add that, again, not to plug the speakerlanguage.org website, but we also have resources for educators there around. So we have resources for youth, for parents, and toolkits for educators around how do you support multilingualism in your classroom? What are tools that you need? Is it like, posters and like, do you need like visuals in different languages and things? So there's resources and an entire toolkit dedicated for educators there. But yes, I also welcome emails, direct emails as well. Definitely.
Great. And once again, that's speakyourlanguage.org.
Yes.
Nimco, thank you so much. And thanks to all of you for participating and submitting questions. If you do have a question that we were not able to address, you can reach Nimco again at nimco@weareoneamerica.org. And I'll be sending that out in the follow-up email. You can read the Our Rising Voices report on OneAmerica's website, weareoneamerica.org. And I'll include a link to that report as well in the follow-up email that will arrive in your inbox in about 24 hours. Our next LEVinar will take place Thursday, February 4th. We've assembled another statewide panel of Latino thought leaders, community leaders, and educators to share their perspectives on what is working and not working in their communities, and what state legislators can do to better support Latino students. This webinar will be presented in Spanish with English interpretation available. The registration link is on our website, educationvoters.org. Just click on events, then lunchtime webinars. I'll also share the LEVinar information in the follow-up email. Thank you to each of you for joining us today. If you have additional questions or comments, please send them to me at arik@educationvoters.org. That's ARIK@educationvoters.org. A recording of today's presentation will be available on our website, educationvoters.org, and will be sent to you in the follow-up email. Please feel free to share the recording with your friends and colleagues. If you would like to learn more about League of Education Voters or support our work, please visit our website, educationvoters.org. Thank you again for attending. Each one of us has the right to feel safe and valued. Together, we will fight for a world in which true educational and economic equity exists. We look forward to seeing you at future LEVinars. Nimco, thank you again for joining us and sharing your information and perspective. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.